Today we are joined by Professor Dr. Jaideep Chatterjee, a self-described multidisciplinary artist, historian, anthropologist and architect with a master's from the University of Cincinnati and dual PhDs from the University of Cornell. Welcome to the show, Jaideep.
Thank you for having me, Arjya.
So Jaideep, I wanted your opinion on monumental architecture, especially a monument that has come under some criticism in the last few years. I'm referring to the Statue of Unity, which was built at an astronomical cost. Your views?
Well, you know, Arjun, this is nothing new at one level. Every government, and we can go back into history, we can go back into 2,000 years of human history, 4,000 years of human history. The built environment, and the statue is a part of that, has always been a way for governments, nations, countries, kingdoms, call it what you may, any political entity, to assert their arrival on the stage, right? I mean, very briefly, sort of thinking, every time the Romans conquered a new city, the first thing they would do is create what's called the cardo and the decumanus. That stays with us even today. The cardo is what is the cardinal axis of a city, and the decumanus was the street access to the city. Now, how do we have it in Delhi? Very simply, Rajpath, Janpath. Right. It's the same thing, right? It's been going on since, human history. I mean, you look at Shahjahanabad, right? The entire thing from, let's say, Jama Masjid to the Red Fort is that cardo. Right.
It's so are you suggesting that the Statue of Unity is a turning point in the political ideology of India?
Yes, in a certain way it is, right? It is the expression of a particular government and their ideology that has come to be. I mean, you think back, Nehru does the same, right?
How does Nehru do this?
So, okay, when, Nehru's entire shtick and spiel is about modernity. Right? And we have the famous saying of his, the temples are the modern, the dams are the modern temples of India. But more so than anything is Chandigarh, right? If you think about it. Mayawati does the same, right? She makes the Dalit Prerna Sthal, right, in Noida. She makes the Ambedkar Memorial Park in Lucknow, right? So everywhere, in fact, you see very interestingly, and it's the built environment which is always attacked when you want to take down a regime. Think back of the scenes from the Gulf War, Saddam Hussein gets defeated or whatever, whose statues are pulled down.
Right, because monumental architecture serves as a reminder of an earlier...
1990s, we see the Berlin Wall being broken down. Very symbolic, right?
Very interesting, Jaideep. Let me ask you this. With the advent of the digital age, with physical mobility perhaps no longer being as relevant as intellectual mobility, do you think that monumental architecture is still relevant?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely so, Arjun. In fact, I would say more so than ever. You see, as far as figuring out how we can symbolically represent any of our ideas, there is no better media, so to speak, than the built environment, right? Buildings act as empty signifiers, right? What that means is they are these huge things onto which any meaning can be inserted, right? So oftentimes, right? I mean, I don't want to get into controversies. Let's think of the Ram Mandir, right? There's a whole lot of idea that this temple, temples were broken down, mosques were made. Well, this was the standard practice actually. You see, every time if you go to Champaner Mosque in Gujarat, you'll be surprised. Every column on that has a lotus on it.
Correct.
It has a lotus on it,
A similar phenomenon we see even in the Qutub Minar in Delhi.
Absolutely, absolutely. You see, part of it is, the built environment is both syncretic and yet hugely symbolic. So it is the easiest thing for any regime that comes in to use that and insert its meaning into it by doing alteration, modifications to it. Rome, I mean, not many people know about this, that the Rome that we see today is completely modern. Do you know that?
Really?
During the time of Mussolini, almost every avenue and street of Rome was shifted back by 3.5 feet on every side.
Why is that?
To make way for a modern city to come in, which Mussolini wanted.
Right.
What is the next thing that he does? He creates a direct avenue from the Colosseum to his office. In that, he puts the maps of Rome, leading all the way from the Roman Empire to contemporary Italy. Right. So there's a kind of a telescoping of history that the built environment allows you.
So you're suggesting that the built environment is nothing but a reflection of the times that we're living in, and that it also serves as a reminder, perhaps, of the history that we've come through.
It is a fundamental source of our collective memory.
Right.
Is how I'd like to put it. Right. It is what constantly. I used to teach this class where the blurb for the class went something like this: imagine you wake up one day, and every landmark that you know, the street shop that you go to, right, the school that you went to, everything has disappeared. How would you know who you are?
That's right. Thank you so much for the time that you've managed to spend with us. It's very, very important for us to understand the built environment that we grew up in order to know where we are going.
And who we are.
And who we are. Well, that was Professor Jaideep Chatterjee, Vice Dean and Professor at the Jindal School of Art and Architecture. Stay tuned to this space for more conversations at JGU.